the subject of this book, Apometry and Animism, of the same guy, J.S. Godinho. Apometry is a technique, and animism is when we talk about multiple personalities, sub-personalities. We talk about animism. And apometry is great set of techniques that we can use, any therapist can use to people and resolve problems with animism and to resolve problems with spirits. Both can be done with apometry and animism. And in this book, he talks about the bodies, the unfoldment of the bodies, multiple and sub-personalities with examples and details. And this one is conscientious conflicts. It's personalities with all the matters, multiple personalities and sub-personalities, and all what comes with them. On which sense they are dangerous, they can help, they cannot help, they can bother, all the details and the laws of the personalities created, established by J.S. Godinho are in here. So both books are great for what I'm going to talk to you today, because it comes with the treatment, which is apometry and animism, and about the personalities. All right? Two cases are related to spirit and self-obsession. And the other two cases are related to people and self-obsession. And you will understand because these examples, which are on this book, and he mentioned many things about the examples. He mentioned André Luiz, which is a spirit who wrote through Chico Xavier. And together with these four examples, we are going to talk about the properties of the personalities and the way it goes. All based on serious experiences and practices and research. These people have been working crazily for a long time. Since 1965, they are on their way, working every single week and helping people from around the world. And with lectures, workshops around Brazil, and getting people from the world who want to know about. Animism is more common than we can imagine. Just by looking at people of strange behavior, attitudes, and difficulties, just by looking at them consciously, we can tell that those people are somehow attached to their past lives. He talks about animism. And yes, we can see it sometimes. And let's see the examples he gives us in order to understand that. He says, for example, those people who act as if they were rich and powerful, like as if they were wearing purple robes of kings and queens of old castles. People who act like that, and many do it. And in their present life, actually, they are not rich. They are common people. these people are attached to their past lives. Certainly they had connection, or they were kings and queens of other lifetimes. Other example he does, when you see people acting as if they were servants to keep pride and powerful ones, and we know that there are people who do everything in their mind to help somebody keep the pride or the powerful. They are servants. They did not need that. They could live without that, but they do as a pleasure. They may have been servants, and they may be in contact or in resonance with those lifetimes. Other thing he says, people who act as if they were homeless, they act exactly same way when they did not need that. They have enough to live well, but they do. Same thing, they must be attached to something on their past lives. And people who act like powerful militaries, they are not militaries. They are poor or common people, but they act as if they were militaries. And they like to be obeyed. And everyone has to act or to do according to what they say. They can do that in family, together with the family, or in their work, or on the streets. Anywhere they are, they act like that, like one, full of stars. But they are not. They are poor, sometimes common people. Others who act like priests. There are people who are common people, but they act as if they were priests. And they live as if they were priests of Catholic Church. They cannot do that. They don't have friends. They don't have sexual relationships. Sometimes almost no friends, almost always kind of isolated, and sometimes young people. There are other people, other ones, who don't accept situation in which they are subordinated. They hate to be subordinated to somebody. They don't like to obey. They don't think they should obey. And when they have to accept, they do that hardly. And we see that always. They should obey because they are employees or they are in a condition, subordinate condition, but they don't accept. So these people, according to André Luiz, according to J.S. Godinho, these people must be attached some way, somehow, to their past lives. Now what Godinho says through these books, he says, all these kind of people live in the present, but see the world through the eyes of their pasts. These kind of cases show that the multiple personalities act like spirit. That's what André Luiz said. They are multiple personalities who belong to the person who are attached to, the person who is attached to, and they are like spirits. All they want is to resolve their matters. Sometimes they suffer, but they believe they are still living that lifetime when they were in physical life. Or sometimes they just want a way to release themselves from suffering, because it depends on each situation. Each one is a different one. Let's see the first case. The first case is related to a police authority guy. And when he lived, he abused and humiliated and hurt people. because he believed he was doing something to correct them, or they need correction. While he was living, this guy was living, and actually this example is from André Luiz also. And the name of the book is Freedom, Liberation, because it is the book that talks about this kind of situation. So while the guy was living, every thought of indignation from people he hurt was around him, circulating his psyche, his mental. All the hate from people he hurt, he humiliated. The thoughts were in there, and people vibrating against him because they suffered from him. And it was around his aura, around his psyche, disorient. I would not say disorienting him, but I would say that it was bothering some way, somehow. It was bothering him. He was, this guy, who, while he was living, he was constantly attracted to the anger of those people he hurt, and attracted to the worst kind of spirits who do not think about hurt someone, because of his manners, the way he treated people, beating them up. That's the way he used to do. Take them to a place where nobody could see, and force them to say what he wanted to hear from them, and beating them, and doing whatever he wanted to. He attracted a lot of the worst kind of bad spirits, and what happened to him without his knowledge was that while he was living, he was getting that energy around his aura, and increasing his mental disorder. And it was harming his nervous system, and it was harming his liver. And he had no idea of what was going on. But he was with the three kind of things harming him because of his actions. We are the result of our actions. Now, the time came for him to go to the other side, as it comes to everyone. And once he was on the other side, he was with deep remorse. He was taken by deep remorse. I'm talking about deep remorse because one thing is when you think about what's going on with somebody else and you don't feel it. The other thing is when you feel it. When you feel, you believe that you are the only one who feels that. But I'm talking to you because I have been seeing a lot of cases, spirits suffering, and people suffering, and personalities suffering for something that could be done, could be helped, and they don't know how to help themselves. And it is not something that you just think about. You are watching, you are seeing the complaints, the cries about what they are feeling. This guy went to the other side, and he couldn't help himself. It was like his memories with all the colors, with the images, with the photos, with the audios of what he had done to people. The images, the kind of videos were coming back and forth to his spirit mind. They were coming, even though he did not want to see them. But the images with all the colors, what he did to people, the image showing himself and everything was there. If he closed his eyes, he was seeing them. If he tried to sleep, he was having them on his dream. If he woke up, he was seeing the same thing back and forth. It makes anyone crazy. And he was desperate because of that. Now, we just need to say, okay, you did that, you deserve that. Is that the way to help? No. No matter what we have done, and believe it or not, we human beings do a lot of stupid things as well as the spirits, because we are in evolution. And people, spirits in evolution, as well as personalities in evolution, we commit mistake. Always. And not because we have done that, we had to be there forever. That's the love of the great ones. We give a chance for them to redo. We cannot come back to the past and erase the past. That we cannot do, said Emmanuel. But what can we do? We restart and make a new ending. So I am talking to you about that. These words are words from André Luiz, but I want to get the opportunity to say something, and actually he says that too. Many millions of thousands of spirits on the other side of the world suffer with remorse, deep remorse, guilty complex, and all the kind of something that they say, if I could have a chance to think about that and not to do that again. But it is too late. Once you are on the other side, it is too late even to come here and ask forgiveness for those you hurt, because not always you have that chance. If you have been hurting people always, it's quite hard to find them. When you are in there and you come here and you find them and you speak to them, it will be quite hard. So it will be, the spirit will be there hammering the situations that they cannot do much. But we human beings can do for them. By doing something for them, we do for ourselves, because we also commit mistakes. By doing something great to release the pain of one of them or many of them, we have our pain released also. So there are many ways. According to Godinho, if nothing is done while he is on the spiritual world, and they come into a new incarnation, they will bring that. As soon as possible, the person has a chance to connect with that past, which will not be difficult. The person gets resonance with that. So, when you or we see spirits like that suffering, or personality. He was a spirit, and he was remorseful for what he did on his last incarnation. That's why it is called self-obsession. He could not do much because it was himself who did. So it was something done by himself, not by anyone else. That's why it is self-obsession. He was remorseful for what he had done. Now, we can help spirits like that through mediums, through APOMETRY. It's easy to do. In a spirit group or where you go that people know how to deal with APOMETRY, through mediums. And many people are mediums or have mediumship exactly to help in those problems, those matters, by helping those from the other side or from this side, we help ourselves. And mediums, if a spirit incorporates in a medium, that will be a kind of a shock that we call animistic shock. The spirit will wake up. Remember, I spoke to you about in another program. The spirit will like, I am speaking, but actually it is speaking through somebody else, through the brain of a medium. But at that time, the ectoplasm that the mediums form into their cells will help the spirit, specifically on those cases, minimizing their problem. So with the anemic shock, the spirit wakes up for the reality, and many things can be done. You need, or anyone suffering like that, you need self-forgiveness. We'll need to numb that memory for a while. We need to help others. If you are on the other side, you have ways to help others on the other side. Or if you are on this side, you help others in this side. And help specifically the victims you made. In his case, this police authority, as a medium, if he comes back, or if he came back already, as a medium, he can help all the victims he made by helping them. They will come into your life because you had something to do with them. So help the victims. Now, there is another way to help a kind of spirits who is suffering like that. How? When a spirit is suffering with a remorse, guilt complex, or blaming himself or herself, and ask for a new opportunity of an incarnation, if the spirit has this opportunity of a new incarnation, there will be a program and everything else to be prepared for, like parents and everything. There will be a time setting of everything. Now, that time is when the parents already know they will be parents. And people in here who want to be parents and want to track those who will come for them as children, there is a way for you to track the spirit and know what is the spirit's problem and solve it before the conception. It is much easier to help them before the conception, because whatever they have to pass during the time they are in here, on that sense, it will be released. And it is not difficult. It is made through animism, which means APOMETRY and animism. You can do that through mediums. It is, and you can do that also in your office with the sensitive. There are ways. You do, like, for example, past life regression. You can, the parents can come to past life regression and bring those who will come to them through past life therapy. It can be psychic capture done with the sensitive in the office, which is perfect for that also. So there are ways, different ways to help this kind of situation. Let's see the second case of a spirit and a self-obsession. This case is, it is about a writer. While he was incarnate, he was a writer. But what he wrote during his life was considered to be pretty much negative and destructive. That's his creation. What the writer did not know about was that while he was creating his characters, he was linked to a gang of crackers spirits who helped him with such creation. Those young people he influenced with his creation and had problems in their lives, blamed him. The family of the young people blamed him. And when he went to the other part, the worst of all was the characters he created to do that. Because the characters, he could see them with all the forms. When you create a characters, you see if a male, female, the actions of the characters, the name and everything. These characters' works have life. For you, writer, they have life because you feel them. It is a thought form, but for you, they have life. They don't have a big life, but they have a short life. However, when they are negative, they come back to you as if they were your children, blaming you, blaming the father for doing wrong with them. And you act as if they were your children. You can see them. It doesn't matter if you sleep or if you don't sleep in the spiritual world. They are back to you always, like the same thing that happened to the police authority guy. The characters he created were there, back and forth, with all the colors, with everything they did to influence negatively all others, with the names, with their actions, and only him could see that crazily, because he could not have peace with them. As he said, I feel blamed as a father. My children blame me, and I'm desperate. And he said he was totally desperate with that because the characters were bothering him to hell. That's what he said. They were bothering him to hell. So, same thing goes to the kind of self-obsession. Self-obsession because it was done by himself. And he was remembering the physical life. When you are here, you are not conscious of your previous life unless you go for treatment, but you feel them and you act. They act using you, or you act through them. And when you are on the other side, you know, because you are like your physical life, the same silhouette, the same format, the same names, the same everything, the same story. And you can see even better. Same treatment came to him. It was to help him through mediums and take away the characters and numb them, and self-forgiveness, and especially the victims. Bring all the victims also for forgiveness between them and the families of the victims and everything else. And now we are going to have examples of people connected to their former lives through their multiple personalities. Let's see this first case. It is a lady. This lady married with everything set in her life and everything else. And a problem that was said to be mental problems. She went to a spirit group to help, to see what she could do for herself. And when her time came, she was desperately screaming. But she was screaming, saying that there was a blade inside her, a kind of knife inside her. And the guy, it was a guy who hurt her and harmed her life and killed her. She was speaking exactly that way, screaming desperately and saying, he destroyed me, he killed me, and I have this knife, this blade inside me, killing me. It could not be herself. People who did not know about understood it was a spirit, but actually it was herself. In other words, one of her personalities. And which personality was that one? That personality who was acting through her, she lived in Europe the time it happened to her, about a century ago. And she was killed by a man. It was a problem between them, and yes, she was killed. She was asking for help, but believing she was living in that same situation when she was killed. And why did this lady brought that personality to her? What happened to trigger the connection with that personality? It was her husband. The guy she married, was the one who did that to her. And in this lifetime, this lady came to be helped by him, because he took her life and he came back to give her life, to help her, to have family with her and everything. However, they were sleeping in the same bed. And that connection woke the personality, and the lady could not stand her husband. So if you are with your family, with your parents, with the members of the same household, that most of the time, members of the same household means enemies. Most of the time, you come in the same family to set things out, to heal from the past, to resolve unfinished business with love and compassion, if you can. Not always we can, or we are able to handle this kind of situation. You have a million problems in the same family, but most of the time families come to set unresolved business, unfinished business. It is rare to have a family for love ties or loving ties. When you have that, it is perfect, it is wonderful. But most of the time you don't have that. You have problems. So you came to understand those problems. So he came to help her, and it was an agreement so that he could help her, but she remembered. She was in resonance with that personality, and it is hard when it happens. How come you remember and you are living the life of that personality and you are sleeping with the same guy who killed you? If you are in connection with the personality, it's quite hard. He explains very well in this book, the conflicts of your conscience. You get in resonance with one of them, and you have trouble. You will have problems without understanding what it is. If you are not open-minded enough to ask for help and resolve the matter, you die with the matter, you go to the other side with the same problem. The presence of other spirits or personalities can come close to you, not because they want to harm you, like in this case, but because they need help. That lady who was killed came for help. Please help me, I have this, I died, I am with this. Many other personalities come for help, for you to help them. And there are a million cases of different situations, you have no idea. Different situations of a personality. You are living the personality without having a clue of what's going on. You have no idea of things that we find, and we don't believe it. We don't believe them, but they exist. So Godinho says that actually André Luiz said on his book that this kind of problems should be considered animistic disease. If a person is with some problem like that, or any other related to a personality, and living that situation with sorrows, with problems, it is, we should call it animistic disease. It's not a mental disease. It's not a behavioral disease. It's not a psychological disease, or maybe, but actually it is animistic because it is one of your personalities. You are living, or they are using your brain and asking for help. Your physical personality is put aside, and they come to your brain and talk to others, like asking for help, but it's not you. This is not exactly case as Godinho says on this book, this one. This is a case of this book. It is, he talks about people. He talks about through his experiences and experiences of his groups, about people who suffer with diverticular or diverticulitis. He said that many people have come to them with this matter, and a matter that make them suffer. And he says that most of the time, people who have that problems of diverticulitis comes from other lifetime where they had a kind of trauma that he calls that psychological injury. These people have problems of injury in their abdomen and intestines. And most of the time, those injuries came through knives, spears, firearms with lead charge, when in a battle or fight or war, that you are affected in your intestines, in your abdomen, with those kind of weapons, and pretty much soon you die, suffering with pain. You have that in your brain as a trauma, as a bad memory. And that was too hard for you, and it will be there. It will be like printed in you. And you come back to a new lifetime with the matter inside your physical body. Of course, the problem comes for you to help resolving. But he said that through the experience he has, and his group has for many years, helping people with the same problems, when they open the vibratory frequency of them, they see right away and they heal it right away. The personality they were before had the matter and died with that. And it is incredible, but it happens that way. So you already know what he says, and he said that most of the time. I also had that matter with somebody else, and it helps. The person who are in there, the patient may not understand in the beginning, but pretty much soon they will understand that, because the problem may be totally cured. Now, of course, it will depend on each one. As he says, for example, if the person lives in the same household with those who did that, and they get in resonance with those personalities, and they are afraid of those people because they remembered, even though those people who did that in the past are there to help them or to work out forgiveness, but they remember it will be quite hard for them to heal because they are together with the enemy and they sense it. But if not, they will most likely be totally healed. Or sometimes they are okay, totally helped, and the injury comes back because they sense that those who did that to them are around and they are afraid they could do the same. So in other words, it's better to bring everyone of the same household or the same place where they are and heal everyone at once with forgiveness and everything. Many families are together because they need to set things out. They need to heal from the past, from unfinished business. It is more than natural that if one of them or a couple of them get in resonance with the lifetime they lived together and were harmed, it is natural that they will sense danger. I cannot stay in this house psychologically. I cannot stay in this house because someone is dangerous, because I don't trust him. I cannot sleep well if she is around or if somebody is around. It's natural because you don't know exactly what it is, but you sense. So it is great when you do and you ask those to do. If they don't want to do, it can be done at a distance in that case.